Hey guys, what's going on? Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome back to another Thursday. I'm Shanahan, and I am doing this every Thursday with Vandalism. We're doing videos with sound design, quick tips and little tricks for your production to help out. But let's get started. This week we want to go over Alan Walker, "Sing Me to Sleep." One of the most popular songs really of all time in dance music. It's taken off and it's a hit. So we just want to touch base on the sound design, getting a similar sound design to his drop, the main lead, the chords, the bass, etc. It's super clean song, really well done. The melody's all there and it's amazing. So we wanted to touch base on getting that similar sound, which you guys can hear right over here. So, of course, there's no beats and stuff, mix and master. It's obviously going to sound immensely different once all that's added, and there's a few things. But the bass layers, to get everything together to have that similar vibe, this is basically what you can get from it. And it's all going to be built inside Silent, and you can get these similar presets, pretty much the exact same sound, in our Shocking Sounds 22, which is over at our website. So make sure you grab that if you want to check the presets out. But let's dive right into the main part. Let's start with the main lead. The most important part that we're hearing. Let's start designing that. All right, so we're going to use both oscillators, but I want to point out the most important part is going to be your portamento. Let's bring that up because we want the notes to glide from one note to the next to give that little bit of kind of glide effect to it. So that's going to be the most important part that we need. And we can detune this saw right away, and we can give that about 8 voices to make that really wide. And then we'll go over here. We can do oscillator A. We can keep that as a sine, the wave that it has. Bring the voices up to about 8 also. You can see how that's kind of start layering it a little bit more, which is sounding nice. I'm really going to want, once we get to part B, I really want the part B to be a little bit lower mix-wise, so it's cool to use these mix tools over here, volume tubes, just to make sure you're offsetting almost the layers that are inside Silent. So it's always cool to use the mixer here. And we want that to hang out a little bit so we can put a little bit of release. Okay, so that's just hanging over a tiny bit. As you know, when I say hang over, I mean the notes kind of holding off on the release. So let's go over to the filter section and open this up a little bit. We're going to do a low pass, and you can actually bring down, you can bring open the cutoff just a little bit. And let's give that a little drive. You can see how that's starting to come to life a little bit more. Just by using the simple drive here. All right, so let's move along. The characteristic parameters, you could say, that's going to give that Alan Walker type vibe is going to be using the LFO tool, the LFO section here. So let's open up the pitch, and we're going to do both A and B once we get to section B. And you can open this up just a little bit here. And then we can go over, let's bring up the gain. What we're going to do is trigger this with the modular, the envelope over here. And what this means with the attack is it's going to take longer for that note, for this, once it's a held out note, it's going to take longer for that LFO wobble sound, you could say, to come into effect. So now we can link this over to the LFO. So you go to LFO rate, and you can do LFO gain. So now this is going to link right over to what we have here. So you can see on those held out notes, it's really apparent once it comes through this attack on those held notes, it kind of starts creating that rate sound. So that's giving that character to that sound. Let's jump over to part B real quick and start designing that a little bit. We're going to give a little bit more of a noise oscillator in this section. And we can bring this up also to be with the full octave. See how that's giving a little bit of crunch. You know, it's mixed really low that we were talking about earlier, but it's starting to come, it's giving it a little more body. We want to give that a little more drive, just like we did last time. You can leave all this as it is. So that's starting to come to life. Let's to really bring it to where it is. Let's go into our actual. You can do this third party if you want, but since we have it in box, let's start to give a little bit more processing to it. You don't need to do too much on the phaser. You know, we're not trying to overdo it here. And then, the really cool part's going to be giving it a little bit of reverb, a little bit more body with the EQing also. Now we're making it super bright pretty much. You definitely can layer that lead with something subtle underneath it to give it a little more of a different flair. If you want to give a little bit different of a layering, you can definitely mess around with that too. But to get a close sound to what he has, that's getting closer. Yeah, without the phaser, it's going to give it a little bit more. Obviously openness, fullness, but that kind of sits it back in the mix a little bit. Let's jump over to the chords. So those are really basic kind of saw sounding chords, but it gives body, it gives the right body to the song. So let's kind of dive into those here. So we'll use A and B. We can kind of do a similar idea here with the envelope we did earlier, giving it a little bit of release there. Don't have to detune too much, but just enough to give it a little bit of width. And we'll do the same thing over here with oscillator A2. It's going to give a lot of width to that lead, a little bit of body to it. And let's put on the low pass here on A. Give it a little bit of drive. And again, I love using the mixer to alternate through the part A and B to give different different levels of the layers. You can throw on EQ. Usually, as you guys know from my previous videos, I love using, the Pro Q or something, third party or whatever. But since we have, stuff in box with silence, it's so easy to kind of just tweak a little bit here. Super subtle there in the EQ, but it just gives it a little more brightness. That's nice there. It's kind of a short plate to the reverb, nothing crazy. Let's hop over to part B. We'll throw on the noise oscillator here, give it a little more crunch to it. And we'll pretty much do the same envelope here, just giving it a little bit of release. And let's add a saw to finalize it. Yeah, it's sounding quite nice. You can dry up that chords if you want, going really, with Serum or something. If you want to use that basic chord, definitely go with that. But this works good because it has that noise oscillator, which sounds like what he has in the back there with the chords. Let's hop over into the last one, the bass, which has kind of a noise oscillator also to it. This one's really unique and kind of cool. Let's check it out. So we'll start out with the oscillator A, as usual, and we'll actually bring that down an octave to start getting those bass notes. And I don't really want it detuned. It's more of a saw basic patch. I don't want that too actually detuned at all. You really want that straightforward. Let's bring that down also. So right now it kind of has an irritating sound to the top end, but we'll start to clean that up as we go. So let's low cut it, low pass. You can hear how that's starting to get a little fatter, more grit to it, which is what we want. But the main thing that's going to make this kind of stick out, if we throw the distortion on and you go down to clip, you can start to give this a little bit more of a unique character. We don't need too much here on the phaser, just a little bit. You can see how that's giving a little bit of character to it, nice and subtle, and then EQing also, like we've been doing. We don't need too much of the treble or the highs. We don't really need that. And most importantly, as we talked about the lead, we got to bring the portamento up so it starts gliding. Yeah, that's sounding good there, because that gliding idea is going from note to note, which you can see here in the MIDI is exactly what he's doing. So let's jump over to B and start designing that one. This is where we can add this noise oscillator right here. And I just have a basic sine sub up here. I don't really need to show you guys, to quickly just throw on the sine wave. That's really basic. But yeah, this is the main bass chords and leads that gets that similar Alan Walker sound. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much the similar idea to get that similar vibe. Try it out. Test the presets out in our Shocking Sounds 22. They're all over there for you guys to mess with. But before I sign off, make sure you guys also go to our Vandalism website and check out our full extension of tutorials, 20 to 25 minute tutorials, going way more in depth with mixing, mastering, and so on. A bunch of stuff is over there. So go check that out, and we'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully enjoy, and take care.